show up, they won't be in time to catch us doing anything.
Hi, I'm Van Neistat. Today we're going to be watching my video fixing the Zipline cut by cut. Do you want to drop? No! Do you want me to catch you?
The zipline has been broken for 3 years now, dang it, and this spirited man has decided to take matters into his own hands.
To preserve the integrity of the plot of this video, I couldn't just show the repair I needed to do with the actual zipline thing. So I needed to explain to the audience like what exactly was wrong. And I could have, of course, taken the thing apart, taken the trolley out, showed the audience, blah, blah, blah. But I couldn't put that in the beginning because in the beginning of this video, you don't know whether or not I'm going to be able to get away with taking this thing apart before I'm shut down by the, what I call the bureaucracy of the playground.
You gotta take these screws out, these screws out, these, pull this whole thing down, and then not get caught doing it because they'll stop you with their...
The plan is to roll up strong with tools, dismantle the zipline track, replace the bearings and wheels. At least he thinks that's the problem. Then reassemble the whole thing before anyone notices or has a chance to pull rank on him.
Stop motion for me is like one of those things that like eats up so much time to build the little model and then to do the stop motion. I'm lazy about technology, so I don't have whatever the app is that allows you to just take still photos and then it like makes a little movie out of it. I roll camera and then I move and then I move and then I move and then I move and then I take that whole video file and I bring it into Final Cut and then I just cut out my hands. So it's this, that, and then I just cut this out, which would be 1, 2, 3, 4, cut, boom. And I did that however many times, however many times that is. And then you get, you know, these are all 4 frames of video. They're not stills.
Oh, we tried to go through the proper channels. We tried. Wrote up an email, explained ourselves, offered our services, free, sent the email. Then, nothing. Stonewalled. No response. So we're just going to roll up and do it. They'll never know what hit them. But there is one unpredictable variable in our plan. A variable that could potentially get us banned from the playground and possibly the square dances for life. That variable has a name, and that variable's name is Jerry.
I'm a lazy filmmaker and I don't like doing lots of camera setups and I don't like to do lots of editing and mixing and all of that stuff. So I try to do as little production as I can for the most buck. So I sort of leverage the writing side of filmmaking to get the story really good so that maybe you don't even need the visual if the story is good enough. Like it's a podcast or something. And so for this sequence, I'm telling the story of the bureaucracy, and then I'm setting up that we're just going to do it ourselves. We're just going to forget the bureaucracy. We're just going to go in and fix this broken zipline ourselves. I'm introducing like a nemesis and conflict, and that's Jerry. And Jerry is he's the eye in the sky watching us all. And I'm just doing it with 3 shots. One is the computer screen, and this is the bureaucracy. To land on the dog, it's just funny and ridiculous. One is, and this was shot by the great BC Slace, is me just pulling the Land Cruiser into the Temecula Community Center. And then one is a drone shot that starts with me at the zip line, and then it goes up to where Jerry lives, because Jerry lives on the property where the community center is. He's Boo Radley. He's like the scary guy in the basement. You don't get to see who he is. An analogous scene for me is in Stand By Me, where Gordy, the main character, is trying to jump the junkyard fence and then make it across the junkyard and get out of the junkyard before the dog gets him. And this sequence is so burned in my mind, and it's so heavy and so strong and so much drama. It's like 3 or 4 shots. It's like the shot of his feet, and then it's the shot of his face, like, no! And then it's the shot of his friends, run, Gordy, run! 3 setups, 3, when you're working on that scale, like each setup, God knows how many tens of $1,000s each setup is. And that's sort of what I'm going for all of this stuff, is the least amount of work, because I do most of this just solo. My process for each video, there's probably like 3 or 4 different families of processes that I use. So for this one, because it was sort of documentary in that I was going in an uncontrolled environment, I have an idea, I'm going to shoot it, then I know all of the story from the real life experience, and I'm going to write it. I'm going to write the story from everything I know. And then the missing bits, like the drone shot of Jerry's house, I'm going to go back in later because I've written those into my script.
Jerry is the caretaker who lives in that house, overlooking the playground. Jerry is the eye in the sky, watching us all. And Jerry runs a tight ship. But we're prepared for Jerry.
I write my scripts on a typewriter, and I made a video about why I use a typewriter. And in the video, I give 3 reasons why I write on the typewriter.
The joy of typing. Reliability above all. Autosave? You sit down and you just go. It captures your voice.
I love to play with the machine. I love that it's not a computer. And so the scripts are all on the typewriter. This is not a good example of one of my scripts that's really marked up, because usually I do like double or triple spaces between each line of voiceover, and then I write the shot list. I shoot the shot that I need from the script, and then I cross it off with a red pen. And then when I go back and edit, I take a yellow highlighter and I highlight what has been edited, and that is the most satisfying thing. The first 3 hours of the edit, you'll have like 2 sentences or 3 sentences done, but they're done. You don't have to go back and do it. And then by like the end of the second day of editing, the whole thing has been highlighted.
So I think, can you come over sooner than 4:30?
Yes.
Okay, because we're going to need to do some Werner Herzog style document forgery, and I think you're the man for it.
What time?
This man, Werner Herzog, one of filmmaking's great heroes, advises filmmakers to develop an aptitude for document forgery so that you may confuse the bureaucrats who try to get in the way of your production. So we arrive at the playground, not only with Torx bits and 2 socket sets to open the zipline track, but also fake, printed out emails to smokescreen any bureaucratic procedures with which Jerry may try to stymie us. Prepared by Mr. Slace.
This is the page with the coffee stain on it. We really had these documents. I had BC Slace, who's like a virtuoso writer, write these email exchanges, and then I printed them out just in case when Jerry comes down, I can be like, oh no, I've been talking to info, and they're expecting us. All right, so here's our problem. All the bolts have fallen out. I don't know exactly why I went with the natural sound there instead of just putting a a tonal music thing underneath it. You can hear the background, like the guy's yelling at his kid, and then all of a sudden there's the cut to the new thing and he's not yelling at the kid. It also has this effect of like showing time elapsing because it's like discontinuity in the sound. And I think I'm only putting music in if I feel like it really needs you need to wake up the viewer, engage the viewer. And my preference is I would love to just do no music, but sometimes no music is just too boring for contemporary artists. And I also think at the time I was watching a lot of like Eastern European, like Andrei Tarkovsky and Bela Tarr movies, and those guys are so minimalist, and they can super engage me in their work with like almost nothing. And I don't know, I think maybe I was just trying to be like those guys.
So are you rolling? He just said that they're gonna close. Jerry's right down there. He just said that they're gonna close the playground at 5:30. What time do you have?
It's 5:08.
Okay, 20 minutes. Okay, we can finish. All right, if the cops do show up, they won't be in time to catch us doing anything. Okay.
I don't really have a rational thought about why music goes in places. It's very intuitive. Like, I don't really know the language of music. I don't know anything about music, okay? But there's like music in certain keys, and there are certain keys of music that I like in my own work that I like identify with or something. It's kind of like this David Lynch sort of music. You know, like he has this just weird, and it's not even music almost, it's just kind of like a tone or a sound. And it's ominous and weird, and I'll have to like refrain myself from just putting ominous and weird in places where it doesn't belong. In my early videos, I used Grey Gersten music. I did a film with Tom Sachs called The Space Program, and he scored that.
Astronaut, enter the rover. Roger that. Heart rate,
I'd give him a sequence, and then he'd make a score for it, and then he'd give me stems, and I could take the drums out, or just do the drums, or just do the xylophone, or just do the bassoon. For my YouTube channel, I would just have him send me, I think it was like every month or every couple months, he would send folders of music organized according to emotion. So it'd be like happy, fearful, frustrated, whatever. And then there would be a bunch of different tracks and stems in there. And then it was like having a big toolbox of all these different colored paints. And Gray is like a virtuoso. So you could just tell him, you could say ice cream, and he'd make you a song that sounded like ice cream.
Do you know who Boo Radley is?
Well, judging from his tracks, he's about 6.5 feet tall. He eats raw squirrels.
I don't know when the Boo Radley thing occurred to me, but I think it's part of, the very slow process of editing and the slow process of writing allows for some of these I know. Those moments just come from somewhere because the breakthrough comes from without. And the greats all tell you that. They're all like, I don't come up with this shit. David Lynch talks about the field of consciousness. And it's just like there's all this stuff going on in the field of consciousness. It's just out there. There's ideas and stories. And you have to put yourself in a sort of state to be able to receive that. And then through training and your technique and stuff, you're going to be able to transmit that. When I'm writing these things, I have to be in like a receiver state. I have to be in like a vulnerable state. And David Lynch talks about this too, how he says you have this legend of the starving artist in the garret, and he's going to do the best work. And it's no. It's when all of the little things have been taken care of, and you've had your tea, and you're relaxed, and everything is perfect. Then, as Jane Campion says, your unconscious feels comfortable enough to come out and play. And that's when you get the best stuff.
Boo Radley is the character all the kids were afraid of in To Kill a Mockingbird. But in the end, he turns out to be not only the guy who was leaving toys in the elm tree for the kids to find, but also the man who ends up saving Jem Finch from the evil Bob Ewell. Boo Radley is the irrational fear to which we fail to give the benefit of the doubt. Boo Radley is our lack of faith. Turns out, Jerry was not an enemy to be feared, but an ally to be respected. He saw us working and assumed, rightfully, that we were one of the dads wrenching on the equipment for the kids to play with. This whole place was financed and built by the moms and dads and other people of the community. After we finished the zipline, Jerry even had us help him open the newly fixed slide ahead of schedule. As for the zipline, smooth as an unmuddied lake, sir.
The screenwriters, the great ones, say that they're like the most complicated machines that man makes because there's so much going on with a screenplay. And what your job as the screenwriter is to get the person reading the script to keep reading the script. That's all you're trying to do. And it's the same with these videos. I'm just trying to keep you from clicking on something else. When you have enough tension, when you have a plot that's going in a certain way and you've got them, like, well, Jerry's here. What's going to happen? That's what this whole thing is building to. You have an opportunity to like postpone that. Like, I'm not going to tell you yet. And then there's like the twist after that. It's a satisfying twist. So I haven't wasted your time because I've surprised you. And I was surprised making it. And that's one of the things that David Mamet talks about, is that you have to go through this revelation that like the main character goes through. As the writer, you have to go through it. So I heard this on a podcast. Robert Downey Sr., who was a filmmaker, said, anybody can act, some can direct, nobody can write. So be the writer. There's 30 million YouTube channels. Leverage the writing.